Hello and welcome to the Author and Presenter Paper Trail tutorial for NACE International Conferences, topical shows, and area shows. Much of the content that will be discussed is directed towards authors that participate in the annual Corrosion Conference, but many aspects are also related to topical and area shows offered by NACE. If you have specific questions, it is best to reach out to your staff contact that has been communicating with you regarding deadlines and requirements related to your presentation. This tutorial will demonstrate how to access the paper trail system within the NACE website, how to go ahead and submit an abstract for a NACE show or conference. We'll also take a look at how to enter your biographical information that's used by chairs and vice chairs to introduce you at the session, as well as how to acknowledge that you've reviewed the program manual. This is particularly important for authors that are presenting at the Corrosion Conference. And we'll also go through how to complete the copyright form. We'll also locate where to find the Resource tab in the system, which contains many helpful documents, especially for annual conference presenters. You'll have the opportunity to review your abstract description that was submitted. We'll also show you where to find the co-authors that you listed initially and show you how to add co-authors at a later date. We'll also go ahead and show you how to request an extension if you're unable to meet the stated deadlines. And we'll also take a look at how to upload draft papers and final papers and how to review comments that you've received from the paper reviewers as well as symposium officers. Again, this is primarily applicable to annual conference presenters, but it may also be relevant for some topical shows as well. We're also going to go ahead and show you how to upload presentation slides. This is an aspect that applies to most all NACE shows, so topical and area show presenters should also watch this part of the presentation closely. And lastly, we'll show you how to contact NACE staff if you have any questions. Staff members in the Technical Activities Department and Conference Department at NACE should be able to assist you with your inquiries. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, some of the items in the tutorial may not be relevant for your particular show, as requirements for topical and area shows vary. This tutorial provides a comprehensive overview of the entire paper trail tool, so keep that in mind as we go through this video. This is going to be somewhat informal because I'm going to be walking you through the system step by step rather than using screenshots, so you can see how the system actually functions on the internet. So let's go ahead and get started. First, you'll want to open up a web browser that takes you to the NACE homepage, which is www.nace.org. Once you've arrived to the homepage, you have the opportunity to log in. Most likely, the reason why you're visiting the NACE site is because you've probably received an email communication, or perhaps you are familiar with the NACE conferences and you're looking to find how to submit an abstract. Well, one of the ways that you might find it is through a submission link you find in an email or through one of our conference pages. For this example, we're going to go ahead and look at the Research and Progress sessions for Corrosion 2017. You'll most likely find a listing of the symposium, the description. You might have the chair and the vice chair listed, and then there's a link where it says to submit an abstract. If you go ahead and click on this link, it'll end up opening up a page that you'll want to go ahead and log into. If you're not already logged into the system, it's going to take you to this page to log in now. If you've already been involved with a NACE activity in the past, it's extremely important that you use your existing username and password that's in our database. If you use new contact information and create a new username and password, this is going to create duplicate records in the system, which can become problematic later on in the process. If you have a username and password but you don't remember it, please use the Forgot Your Username or Password link found here. Or please call one of our numbers, either the 281 number or the 1-800 number listed at the bottom of the website, to contact a First Service representative. I'm going to go ahead and log in as my colleague for the purposes of this presentation to demonstrate what the role and responsibilities are as an author in Papertrail. Once you log into the system, if you recall, you had clicked on a link that would have said Submit Abstract. So let's first start off by going ahead and submitting a sample abstract. So we will say Test Abstract Title. Here in the box where it says Abstract, you would go ahead and type your abstract description for your paper. This should be a maximum of 10,000 characters, should not contain special characters, and should not contain any facts, or I'm sorry, should not contain any figures or graphs or charts. It should be strictly plain text. Maximum of 10,000 characters, 300 to 400 words. Once you've completed your abstract description, you'll want to go ahead down to the presenting author info. If you've already logged in, the first name and last name should be entered into the system. You'll want to go ahead and update your company if it was not already affiliated with your profile, and make sure that your email address and your phone number are also correct. The email address that's listed is the one that will be used for all communications moving forward for this particular abstract submission. So it's imperative that this address is correct. If you know that for this abstract you're going to have additional authors, you can scroll down to the secondary authors section and you can go ahead and add them. You'd first click the magnifying glass to look up the author, and you can search either by email, their member ID number, their last name, or their first name. If you were to go ahead and search, for example, myself, Jacob Adams, you can go ahead and hit Select Now. Please note, before this secondary author is actually added, you have to hit the plus sign over on the right side in order for the name to be added. For the purposes of this, I'm not going to add myself as a secondary author, but please note this process. Once complete, hit the Submit button in the bottom right corner. All right. As you notice, I didn't hit that plus button to add myself as a secondary author. When you're on this page, you'll notice that my name was not added. So please make sure you use the plus button when adding additional authors. So now your abstract's submitted and you're waiting for the symposium chair to review your abstract. Once the abstract review period takes place, you'll go ahead and you can click on My Account when you log back in to check on your status. In the meantime, once the abstract review process is complete, you will receive an auto-generated email from the Papertrail system. That email is going to indicate whether or not your paper was accepted or rejected. Once you receive that email and you log in, you'd click on My Account, which will take you to this page, and on the left-hand toolbar you should see the Papertrail listing. Click on the Papertrail listing and then click on Papertrail Author Portal. Depending on your roles and responsibilities within NACE, you may have access to several other tabs as well. One might say Reviewer if you've ever served as a chair or a vice chair. So please make sure when you're referring to papers that you have submitted as an author that you click the Author Portal. Once there, you'll see that there's two tabs. One tab will list the papers or submissions that you have submitted to a NACE event as a primary author, the presenting author, and there may be some that you are listed as a secondary author. If we click on the Presenting Author tab, let's go ahead and submit the initial, or look at the initial abstract submission. You'll go ahead and see on the Abstract tab that it was submitted and approved. And if you had comments that were given by the author or by the chair to the author, it'll be found in this box below. You can see comments by chair, and the comments and the feedback would go here for the author to review. So now, after your abstract's been submitted, the next step for corrosion presenters and authors would be to submit a draft paper. So you click on the draft paper tab and you'll notice that it doesn't allow you to upload a draft yet because you must acknowledge the technical program manual before uploading your draft. So what does that mean? So if we click over on the Bio and Acknowledgements tab, you'll see here that there's an area for you to enter text about your biography. This is used by the symposium officers to introduce you during the session. So it's important that you write a brief description so they can properly introduce you and highlight possibly your employer, your educational background, or anything that might be relevant to this particular session. So you'd enter the bio information here. And before you hit Save Bio, you'll notice that there's several other sections on this page. There's the copyright agreement, the government acknowledgement, and the technical program manual acknowledgement. Let's start with the copyright agreement. You'll need to go ahead and download the copyright agreement from the NACE website. Once it downloads to your page, you'll open up that PDF and you'll notice that the title of your abstract will be listed, your name as an author will be listed, and then there's several other portions that you'll need to complete and read through prior to submitting this page. Please make sure that on the third page that you go ahead and complete the signature. And if you have co-authors, or if you have an institution rather that you need to receive authorization from to present the content and the intellectual property, you'll need to make sure that you have an authorized representative from your company or institution complete this section as well. Please note, as I mentioned in the other tutorial for corrosion presenters, the NACE copyright agreement is not amendable and cannot be changed in any way. If your company does not agree to the way that things are written in the copyright agreement, unfortunately you're going to be unable to present at the conference and you'll be unable to publish your paper as part of the conference proceedings. This document can also be signed electronically if you wish, or you can print out a copy, sign it, and rescan it back in. The only way copyright agreements are accepted is electronically. So once you've gone ahead and completed that agreement, you'll need to upload the copyright agreement to the website. So if you click on Choose File, you can go ahead and select the copyright agreement PDF that you have completed. You'll also need to click Authorize Copyright Agreement to ensure that it saves. But now you'll notice that you still cannot upload your draft because you haven't acknowledged the technical program manual. If you go back to the biography and acknowledgements, you'll notice that there's another box down here that says the acknowledgement agreement. It says, I, Connie Gomez, acknowledge that I have read the technical program manual and agree to comply with all requirements contained in the manual. I understand that if I do not comply with the requirements, my paper will not be published by NACE. So the technical program manual is specifically relevant for the authors and presenters of the Corrosion Conference. You'll need to go ahead and click on the technical program manual, which this will take you to the resources tab, and you'll want to make sure that you click on the technical program manual where it says must read 2017 technical program manual. What that will bring up is a PDF of the technical program manual that outlines all of the requirements and deadlines and specifications for your paper to be submitted and presented and published in conjunction with the Corrosion Conference. You'll want to make sure that you read through this in its entirety prior to submitting your acknowledgement and agreement, because all authors will be held to the content of this manual and no exceptions will be made. So back on that Bio and Acknowledgements tab, you'll want to go ahead and check that box, and now you'd be able to upload that draft. The other thing I want to mention on the Acknowledgements tab is if you are a government employee or if any of the work that you're presenting was created on behalf of the government, you'll need to check this box to ensure that you as the author have made the company aware and that you've made the governmental organization aware and you have permission to reproduce and distribute that work. This box is not relevant for everybody, only those that have been involved in governmental activities for the content that's in the paper. So now that you're able to present a draft, you'll navigate to the Draft tab and you'll see that you can upload your document. If you'd like to include comments, you can, but you can just go ahead and simply say, attached you'll find my draft paper. Then you'll want to go ahead and choose the draft paper file that you've created that's on your computer. I want to note that you should be using the template that was provided to you. It's a Word document that can be found on the Resources tab of the Papertrail system, but for many authors, especially for the Corrosion Conference, you can go ahead and find this document. It should have been emailed to you by a NACE staff member. This document is already formatted to have the right margins, to have the right highlighting, to have the right font for the graphs and figures, many of the things that are required for you to comply with the technical program manual. So please ensure that you're creating your document in this template. So once you've gone ahead and completed that, you'll want to go ahead and upload that draft and make sure you hit submit. So you'll notice here the status is currently under review. It'll tell you the date that it was submitted, and right now you can see that it wasn't approved. So we'll have to wait until it's approved. Once it's approved, you'll go ahead and see that there has been a draft paper that has been submitted, and it was returned for revisions. And here, if you click to the first tab, that's your first draft that you submitted, you'll see that a reviewer has left you some comments. They may leave some comments in this box here, but in the event that their comments included some special characters, reviewers may attach a Word document with their comments, and then you can access that by clicking here. Once you review their comments, you'll want to go ahead and open up your draft paper and make whatever suggested revisions they had. If you don't agree with their suggestions, you can feel free to reach back out to the chair and vice chair or the reviewer themselves to ask for further clarification. Once you've made whatever changes you'd like, you'll want to go ahead and navigate to the Upload Second tab. Again, you can enter some comments here. And you'll want to go ahead and find your revised paper. This also, please note, should be a Word document format. Both papers, or however many drafts you have, should always be a Word document. Then go ahead and hit submit. So again, similar to the first draft, you'll see it's now under review and you're waiting for it to be approved. Now, you'll see here that the second version has been approved. You'll go ahead and see that the reviewer had left you a comment that said that you included the recommended changes and that it can proceed to the final paper stage. So to upload your final paper, you'll want to go ahead and make sure that you made all of your changes and that it's formatted correctly. And note here that the file type changes. It must be a PDF to upload your final paper. Once you have it saved as a PDF, you'll want to go ahead and select the file and hit submit. You'll notice now the final paper is under review and waiting for approval. One thing I forgot to mention is if you need to request an extension. If you need to request an extension because you're unable to meet the stated deadline that was outlined in the technical program manual, on any of the stages you'll want to go ahead and use this request the extension button over here on the right side. You just simply go ahead and click this and you'll receive this warning that states an extension may only be granted once and that it must be approved by the chair and note that it will affect future extension requests. So that means that once you request an extension, you're not able to request it in subsequent review periods. So if you request it on your draft paper, you cannot receive an additional extension on your final paper. So please ensure that you truly need to use the extension. If you do, please make sure you hit the request extension button, and then you'll receive this message up here that shows that the extension for the draft has been requested. Now, a notification will be sent to the symposium chair to make sure that they approve or deny that extension request. All right, so now that you had submitted the final paper, chances are that it will be approved because you've already incorporated the feedback that you received in the draft paper stages. There is a possibility that there will be additional comments and feedback from the chair or from the technical reviewer, so there may be multiple versions of a final paper as well. And again, you will find their comments here, and then you'll notice their role based on either it will say reviewer or it will say chair, so you will know who the comments are coming from. It appears that this paper was approved, and then you're able to move on to the presentation stage. So if you click on the presentation tab, you'll see again, all of the boxes are very similar throughout the process. You can go ahead and click to choose your file to upload your PowerPoint slides. Please note the files must be in PowerPoint format. It will not accept PDFs of slides, so it must be a file ending in some sort of Microsoft PowerPoint code. If you have a presentation that's using another program other than Microsoft PowerPoint, please contact the NACE staff member to see if there can be arrangements made. So you'd want to say final presentation slides, and you can go ahead and hit submit. I want to note that for several events, including the annual conference, there are PowerPoint templates that are available to you, and they're actually required for members and non-members that are presenting papers at Corrosion. They must use a PowerPoint template that's furnished by NACE to ensure that they're not using any company logos or product logos that would violate our commercialism rules in our technical program manual. So for example, for the Corrosion 2017 show, there is a template available to you on the Resources tab that illustrates, it will provide you with samples on how to enter the text, and has the toolbar along the bottom that is the branding and the colors that coordinate with the show. Some topical and area shows may have it as well, so if you're unaware if there's a template, please make sure that you contact NACE staff members to determine if there is a template that you should be utilizing. So once that PowerPoint presentation is submitted, you are complete in the paper process or submission process for Papertrail. You'll go ahead and you might have additional feedback from a vice chair regarding your slides if something needs to be changed, if there's any sort of logo usage or issues of commercialism that they need you to remove prior to presenting at the conference. You might have additional comments down here similar to what you do on the other stages. You'd find those comments down here. But otherwise, you are good to go, and that would really be the extent of what you would need to locate or utilize within the Papertrail tool. Again, I know I had mentioned the Resource tab several times, but the Resource tabs can be found all the way on the right, and you'll find numerous helpful documents to use in the process. Here you'll see the PowerPoint template for events that use it. You'll see also a written guide to Papertrail. It's a supplement to this presentation that if you prefer to read a document that'll tell you step by step what you need to do, you can do that there. There's information for international authors about visas and travel information. There's a template, a Word document template that you should use for your technical paper if there's multiple authors. There's also a template down here for 1 or 2 authors for your technical paper. We also provide you a sample technical paper from our previous conference so you can see how it was formatted correctly, so you can use that as a reference. We also have the NACE table with common metal names with UNS numbers. This is really important for you to reference to ensure that you're not using trade names to violate our commercialism rule. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, you can also access the 2017 Technical Program Manual. This manual is updated on an annual basis. It's specific to the corrosion conference, our annual conference, but note there may be similar documentation for topical and area shows. The NACE staff member that's in charge of your show will communicate that information to you if there's a particular document that you should be referencing in preparation for your paper or your presentation that will take place at the NACE Corrosion Conference. So this concludes our tutorial on the Paper Trail tool for authors. On behalf of NACE, we would like to thank you for your time for viewing this video and for all of your hard work and contributions that ensure we create a successful show. This wouldn't be possible without you, and your hard work is really appreciated. And one last friendly reminder to always please be mindful of the deadlines, and don't hesitate to contact NACE staff if you're unsure about something. We're here to help, we're happy to help, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Goodbye.